Hey guys, welcome to, well, I guess we'll just call it an unboxing because that's what it is. But it's also a cautionary tale. I don't recommend you do this unless you're fully prepared for what's about to be unveiled. This is what happens when you are working very long hours in front of a computer and look at stuff for sale day after day after day. So I'll get right to it. What's in these two boxes? A vintage spectrum analyzer. Well, it was originally introduced in the late 70s. This is a later revision, so it was introduced in like 1984 or so, which is an era that I do have a soft spot for because that's when I was really getting into electronics, and I like the discrete chips from that era, the TTL series, the 4000 series, the microprocessors and whatnot. So this is a Hewlett-Packard spectrum analyzer, one that has a separate display unit and base unit. Curious Mark has used it, as have numerous other YouTubers over the years. And this also can hook up to that large XY vector monitor, Hewlett-Packard monitor I got, which is one of the primary motivators for me to get this. But I'm warning you because it's huge, it's very heavy, and there's a very good chance it's got a bunch of problems. All right, I know, less blabbing, more unboxing. We'll get to it. I got to work out some logistics. So what is it? It's an 8568B base unit with an 85662A display unit, which has XYZ outputs, so you can go to a vector monitor like the one I got working a few months back, which can ultimately hook up to it and look something like that. Now mine is brilliant blue-white. It might be because it doesn't have this screen bezel, or maybe it came in two phosphor colors, I don't know. But mine's also missing the plastic enclosure, but that's the idea. So instead of having this little dinky display, you can have that. Now why do I say that this is a crazy thing to do? Because for what I spent on it, and what I may very well end up having to spend on it to get it fully working, you could get a brand new one, name brand from Siglent or whoever, for less money, or a lot less money if you just want to get like something like an Ultra or Tiny SA, which can do plenty. Things have changed a lot in 40 odd years. Now, as I say, I like the look of it. It's very similar to the 8662A I have, where it has the slant front and the same type of buttons and the spin wheel and all that. But just from getting those boxes inside, I can tell it's a beast. It's like that 8664A I also have that it's heavy. Together, it's got to be over 100 pounds, and they're deep. So even if these work, I have no idea where I'm going to put them. Now, here's another problem. I don't think I have the cables. I got both these units from the same seller who seems to have a bunch of them. It's probably one of the reasons I got it, is a bunch of these units showed up cheap on eBay, but he sold them as independent units with no interconnect cables. So even if these are mint and work, I don't have the cables to connect them together, which it may take me a bit. So that's why I think in the end it might have been, even if I really wanted this, it might have been better for me to just fork out a few extra bucks and get one that's got everything and is known to be fully working. Now the seller said these were working, and this is a reputable seller that deals with a lot of vintage test equipment, but I'm pretty sure their definition of works means it turns on and a light comes on, and that's it. So we shall see what we shall see. These were shipped from Virginia, from, as I say, a well-known test equipment vendor. I'll dig up the name, share it with you guys in a bit. Shipped via UPS. The boxes are a bit banged up, so I don't know how they were treated in shipping. This is the display unit. I'm not feeling any shattered glass. Man, look how deep that is. So let's get this out. I did find an amusing photo from another eBay seller that completely parted one of these out. So he laid out all the circuit boards that are inside of it, and it's nuts. There's like a dozen circuit boards in this thing, and this is just the display unit. I know, very exciting, Shadow, very exciting. Okay, so the top one was a display unit. It doesn't look like it suffered any horrible trauma. Those marks were already there in the listing. It looks like it's just some adhesive goo from probably an old sticker or something like that. Got all buttons present. Intensity is rather stiff. So, I mean, visually, it looks all right. They packed this stuff up with these coiled up, heavy construction paper pads. Thank goodness these things have handles on the sides. Not horribly heavy out of the box, like 35, 40, 45 pounds. But it's big. It's big. Fan. I think, yeah, we're missing 3 out of the 4 feet are missing, but you know, normally it's on the bench, who cares? So the cables, yeah, these two. But I've seen a bunch of sellers with this one because it really stands out because it's like 4 high frequency coaxial connections. And we got a big old connection here, which I think may be just a standard type cable. I don't know how many pins are on that, but a specialized one. I've seen them out there. And then just a bunch of, you know, so these are your XYZ outputs and whatnot. Just some pass-throughs. So nothing too troubling, or, you know, I'll get this up on the workbench. There's only 1 screw holding the top on there. I'm hoping even without the cables I can at least power this up and we'll get some sort of status indicators on the CRT face. And here's the other box. That's what I meant about the coiled up construction paper padding. And, oh, there she is. Well, they ship a lot of this stuff around, so they seems to be pretty effective, actually. When I got my 8664, this connector was pretty badly bent, although it was still functioning. All right, let's get it out. Well, there's some better lighting, and there's the top unit. And there's a dog. I mean, yeah, this looks to be just like the bottom unit that survived shipping just fine. Come on, Jupes. Oh, it's a cover for our calibration outputs. Now this would normally be on the bottom, and that's what I meant about them hooking together, and this engages with the display unit, which is actually maybe the same size. I thought maybe it was slightly larger. I think it's actually a bit heavier. Now I've seen the inside of this unit too, and it's a bunch of sealed modules with coax between them, not too surprisingly. But this is from the era of stuff that is a bit more repairable. I expect it being Hewlett-Packard there'd be some house numbered parts and whatnot, but I think you can get service info for this, and plenty of other guys have worked on it. The question is, how much money and time and effort do you want to put into something that is very outdated? But hey, we can still play around with it. So let's take a look at better look at those cables that I'm missing. They did include power cables, but not the interconnect cables. Actually, I can give you a little bit of a taste of that right now. So here's the one I mentioned. It's an eBay seller these are the boards just in a display unit. Thought that was kind of amusing, just coming on the heels of my doing a bunch of videos on electrostatic TVs. Well, yeah, this has an electrostatic CRT in it, and those are those axial high voltage caps to filter the high voltage and couple signals to the deflection plates, and those would be the deflection drivers, I have no doubt. And then there's a crazy mix of digital and analog and chips and transistors and whatnot. So yeah, we go that to that, and that, where does it connect to? Because that is not that. Unless it has that on one end and this on the other, which seems unlikely. Unless that's all you need. And this is for connecting to another peripheral, but I don't think so. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe that is the only cable you need between the two. Well, here's the manual, and yeah, strange as it seems, it does use two connectors, and one of them does go from one type to another. And, well, here's some on eBay. So I haven't seen one of these since the 80s. I forget what you call those, but they used to use them on printers way back when. And you can't see a good detail on the other end, but it's, well, I'll try to find some better photos. And then there's the cable that has the weird coaxy thing. So yeah, I could buy it right now on eBay, all the cables. There's the problem. As I said, this, oh, and shipping, $72 because it's in Hong Kong. So this can get to be a very, very expensive rabbit hole if you want to go down there. Maybe this is a better view of what those cables look like. Not so much. So I'll keep poking around. All right, here's a good look at one of the cables, and this seems to be the one that's more plentiful. You can get one for 80 bucks or best offer with only $26 shipping. So that's that guy, and then there's the other one. All right, here's a good look at the other cable, where one end has individual little pins on it, and the other has that weird kind of boxy end on it. So yeah, there we go. That's the other cable, and it's only $99 plus $40 shipping from Israel. So yeah, that's a delightful challenge I have right now. Let's take a look at the display unit first, because if it looks okay inside, I would like to try powering it up, because I figure this should do something even if the other unit isn't connected. Now, before you write your comments, I did some more homework. I know a bit more about this. So this is not just a display unit, it's also the IF processing unit, which is why it has those RF connectors in the back. Those aren't XY signals or anything like that to drive the CRT. Those are signals coming out of, like heterodyne signals coming out of the lower RF unit. So this has a bunch of RF, IF detector kind of stuff in it too, and the circuits to drive the display. Did a little bit of cleaning because there was some nasty looking stuff on here. It turned out to just be adhesive goo, which I got off. There are a few specks in there, which I'm hoping it's just dirt and debris on the inside that will come out. So I can illuminate that a little bit for you. There we go. I'm hoping this is crud on the inside of the safety glass, and that's not a problem with the CRT. I got a comment from somebody familiar with this that these are fantastic displays, and I've seen others say that as well on some restoration articles or articles about this. But because these would be left on for many hours, they're often a bit worn out. But apparently there is a refurbishing kit you can get that uses a color, either OLED or LCD display, that works very well. So you can sort of upcycle these a little bit. Now, I want to take a look inside of this, and if all looks well, power it up. Speaking of the cables, I have ordered them. I found a seller on eBay who had multiple of each type that I need. 25% off, free shipping this weekend, so I went ahead and ordered them. Now that is a special screw. It looks like a Phillips, and I think somebody's already used a Phillips on it. But I do actually have the correct tool, so let me grab that. That's a star bit. There we go. This might be the right size. Close enough. I think this one's even better. Oh, need the bigger one. Alright. That is a PZ2 bit. Other screws are missing, feet are missing. I suspect somebody's been in here. I have no idea what to expect. Nice thing when you take these out, it actually is sliding the cover back for me, because this corner of feet are already gone. If all these feet were present, you got to take these off first. I found one more floating around in the box, so I have two of them, but two are missing. But really, you only need those if you want to have this thing standing face up, like you set it down somewhere, so it has something to rest on. While it's horizontal, they're not really important. All right, are we ready? Let's adjust the camera here. Voila. Almost nothing to see because it's all shielded and modules. So, not surprising if you watch my videos on the HP 8662 right behind it. Same type of construction, same era. Whole bunch of modules just like this with interconnects and screwed in here. So if you needed to service one of these, you disconnect the cables, undo some screws, grab these pulls, and they come out. Lots of discrete parts in there. So it is serviceable, and I already found the troubleshooting and service manual for this online, freely available. But basically all the semiconductors are Hewlett-Packard house numbers. Now there are guides out there that will reverse engineer them and you can figure out what they are. A lot of them are generic commercial products, but not necessarily all of them. There's also, these aren't super rare. There are, these individual modules are listed on eBay. These display units are on eBay. I was actually toying with bidding on another one. It sold, I think, for $300, which is more than double what I paid for this. So, you know, it depends. Like I said, cautionary tale. If you want to get into this, you might want to just buy one that's demonstrated working and just pay the extra bucks to not have to deal with any of this. Anyway, I'm not seeing any obvious problems. Power supplies here. I think from the other side we could see more. It is fused. Fuse is good. That's one reason I'm not super paranoid about plugging it in. It's fused. I'll use a device, a PR57, that has a circuit breaker and a fuse in it, and I can monitor the current draw. So here's all the deflection amps with the beautiful little top hat heat sinks. Power supplies down here. I can see the giant caps. There's two of them on here under plastic covers. There's one poking out here. Got a fan. What am I looking for? I'm looking for if there's any modules missing, or if there are some loose wires hanging out, if something got dislodged, if something's charred. But I'm not seeing any issues whatsoever. So, I'm going to flip this around, put it on its side, get a power cord, and let's just go for it. Because I'm kind of curious about something. There's a note on the front of this. There is a note right here. It says, downloadable program DLP installed. To demo DLP, press blue shift key and enter 10 Hertz. So I'm wondering, is there some kind of demo thing installed that will display something, even if it's not programmed up? Also, just noticing now, it says match with WJ 51842. I wonder if by chance that's like the serial number on the other unit. I don't know. Let me grab a power cord though, and let's give this a shot. Well, I'm looking around on the front of this, and I'm realizing there's no power switch. Whereas there is a big power switch on the bottom unit, so I'm thinking maybe you really do need to connect these together for it to do anything. But I do have it plugged in, so we're going to try turning it on. I'm hoping at least to see a message that says like display, like RF unit missing or something like that. Here we go. Okay, turned on. Current draw jumped up a little bit. Got a standby light. I got a feeling this is all the testing the seller did. I don't know if we can do any more than this. I'm looking at the current draw as I push buttons, and it's nearly 0. So when I say standby, I think it really is standby. Now, one of the problems, I was reading another article about rejuvenating the CRT, and he was talking about cathode poisoning. I didn't read it in depth, but I'm wondering, when this is in standby mode, is the CRT filament lit? Which, yeah, so cathode poisoning is a problem where you have the filament running, but there's no plate voltage or no no high voltage. And there's a shield covering the whole CRT neck, so I can't see if it's glowing. Now the RF unit, very similar construction. Again, that one screw you need to take out with a PZ type driver. A little bit to see on this side. This is the back plane side again. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. The clear plastic with labels on it. So 15 plus 15 volt supply plus 5 volt supply minus 15 minus 5 plus 20 fan relay. You can't get any of this stuff, but if you take the service cover off and you measure these, those are the voltages you should be getting at those various test points. So kind of cool. And then there's labels all over here on this back plane about what modules or assemblies are on the other side. So it's definitely made to be serviced, which is cool. That's probably one of the reasons these are still somewhat popular, even though they're very old and crusty. Alright, let's check the other side. Should be a bit more interesting. Look at all that RF goodness, protected for your safety. But this is what I saw a photo of online, where it's got that clear plastic with all those labels about what all those points are. Again, power supply. All this completely sealed RF stuff over here. More gigantic filter caps. But not seeing 5 fuses inside this thing. And a whole mess of power resistors down in there. Check that out. Almost pass resistors. Linear power supply, obviously. No switching in this guy. Unlike the 8662, which does use a switching supply, I think this is just brute force linear. Or at least it's not a very efficient switcher if it is a switcher. And not surprisingly, we're on the other side of all those transistors, or MOSFETs. There's a fan. So, I think that's about as far as we can go with this for right now. While we have this open, let's take a look underneath this cover, because I believe that is where the digital control boards are. It's going right to that big connector that goes to the display unit. I think the brains are in here. I find this interesting because the early revision, or when this originally came out, they used the chipset from a calculator, I do believe, and it was a lot more complicated. This is the re-engineered version. That's probably why there's less cards in here. So there's a slot for at least one more card, although there's no back plane connector. Yeah, I see there's provisions for 2 extra connectors in here, so I wonder if the original had 4 boards in here. Now it's down to 2, because this should use an actual microcontroller or microprocessor. Don't know if it's 6800 or Z80 or what. But, okay, got this board popped up. Trying to negotiate around this long ribbon cable. Oh, it's going right to the connector. Interesting. That has a it's a TMS 9914. I wonder if that's the GPIB interface chip. And then 68230. It's a part of the 6800 processor family. Got a bunch of EEPROMs. Oh, this is a newer unit, actually. It's fine by me. trying to write the date codes on these correctly. It's copyright 87. And the chips, it says like 947 on it. Could that be 1989? I would have thought these RAM chips would have one that's more obvious to read. They're 6264, so I think it's 8K by 8. Come on, doesn't something have a date code that I recognize? 6207? That doesn't make any sense. It's HP and all their proprietary codes for you. So, the other reason I wanted to look at this, somebody warned me about this guy. We have a battery here. Kind of wondering if this has been replaced. This looks like something a bit newer than what he used originally. Well, it's not leaking, so that's a good thing, I suppose. And did they have lithium batteries back in the 80s that they used in things commonly? I don't think so. They have a nickel metal hydride or NiCad, I would think. Oh yeah, so then we have this big old chip. Motorola. Is that a 68,000 family chip? Considering we have dual banks of chips here, it makes me think it is a 16-bit processor. Or 32-bit processor for that matter. But hey, important thing is it all looks good. And we do have what looks like a wet slug tantalum cap up there. It's not oozing or anything. I got a bunch of status lights on this. Alright, let's put that back in and try to get the other board out. Or I'll just put it to the side. But I can get at the other board more readily. Boy, there's a lot of ribbon cables attached to this. Makes it kind of awkward. Rather not disconnect things if I don't have to. Alrighty, here's the other board loose. Oh, yeah. That is exciting. But finally recognizable chips and date codes. So 74LS51s, 8637. So 37th week of 1986 is when these chips were made. And these are 8709. So that would, at least based on my limited sampling of parts, this dates this from early 87. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, the newer production, the better, in my mind. And I don't see any cause for concern with anything whatsoever on anything I've looked at in this device. It's crazy clean. See, if you would think if this was in a laboratory environment and running 24/7, or at least running a lot of hours with the fan running, that there would be dust in here unless it was in a clean room or something like that. And this thing is just spotless inside. I mean, there's no point even getting any compressed air out or anything to blow any dust bunnies out. There's just spotless. The fan blades have a little bit of dust on them. And it's not like there's a big filter, or maybe there was at some point, but there sure isn't now. You know, maybe there was a foam block in here or something that was removed. Like it's possible somebody opened this up and cleaned it. And both of these have the same type of looking fan, which makes me think they're the original fans. Now, one thing I could do, I suppose, is power this up with without the other unit attached. Not that it would really do anything, but I might turn on and we can hear the fan running and stuff like that. Maybe some status lights on the front. Alright, so it's plugged in. Power going into it. This does have a power switch, unlike the upper unit. And here we go. Reasonable power draw, 3/4 of an amp. Instrument check, light. That might very well be because it's not connected to the other unit. Yeah, well. So, passes a smoke test. You can see some status lights inside. Oh, yeah, so this reminds me very much of when I powered up the 8662 the first time. So we do have some red lights on these units. 249 megahertz unlocked. It's a little hard to read that one, but so each one of these modules has little status lights, and there's all kinds of lights in here. So, yeah, complicated beast, huge beast, but there are lots of aids to go about troubleshooting. There's extensive service manuals. It's very modular, so, you know, we'll worry more about this when we have them connected together and all that. But hey, they both turn on, no smoke, so, well, okay, I shouldn't say the display unit turns on. I can apply power to it, nothing bad happens, but it's not exactly alive. But, you know, it's promising. I like seeing little LEDs light up all over. Looks like our power supply rails are all good. Or, well, maybe they're a little low. I'm not sure if I'm even applying full power to this thing. Yeah, it's a tad low. It's about 120 coming in. Yeah, still a little low. Line voltage status light on. Huh. Well, that's a little odd. I was thinking that was an optional module that goes in down here. No, I'm wondering, is there something missing that's supposed to be down here? Well, no. More homework to do. Alright, that's really as far as we can take this right now. Now, I did look online and find a photo of another one of these. It's in Japan, or it's in Japanese, so I can't really read it, but it's also missing. You see it has a cable hanging out here, and it's functioning, so I don't think there's anything critical that's missing. So as soon as those cables arrive, we're going to connect them together and hope for the best. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.